Now, what are the protocols? The protocols are supposed to be real protocols of meetings of a secret Jewish government, international secret Jewish government. But actually, they are not, if you read them, they don't look like protocols of meetings. There is only one elder who speaks to all the other elders, and he tells them what we are going to do. And he describes a plan of exactly how we are going to take over the world. Every chapter has a motto, a title, how we are going to undertake the market, how we are going to undertake the legal community, how we are going to take over the police, each chapter by chapter. And the last chapter is, this is what is happening to us. And this is, at the end, we will put on top of the world our leader from the house of David. These are the protocols. Okay. Now, the protocols, who wrote the protocols? Who concocted such a story? It appears, it was discovered, that the protocols are not only false, but they are a plagiarism, you know, plagiat, plagiarism. They are plagiarized from a French book that has nothing to do with Jews. There was a French lawyer by the name of Maurice Joly, and he lived in France during the rule of Napoleon III. And Napoleon III was a very hard rule for the people. People were downtrodden. It was a dictatorship. And he was very angry about it. He wanted to rebel against Napoleon III, this lawyer. His name was Maurice Joly. But he couldn't openly do it because he would be immediately arrested. So he described in his autobiography, which I read, he describes how one day he was walking along the Seine in Paris and breaking his head, what can I do? I am one man, what can I do? And he said, I don't have any weapons, but I have a pen, I can write. So, but if I write against the rule of Napoleon, they will arrest me. So I must disguise what I write. And how do I disguise it? I write in a style that was very popular in those days, an allegory. You know what an allegory is. And his allegory was discussions in hell, dialogos enfer, between two people, one of whom represents the hard rule of Napoleon III, and one represents the view of the writer, of the author, of Maurice Joly. But how will the French people know what I mean? I must write it as a dialogue between two very famous people whom the French will know, and they know what I mean. So what people do I use? And then he decided that the views of Napoleon III would be presented by Machiavelli. Okay? And the liberal words, the liberal views of the writer will be represented by Montesquieu. So these two people will hold a dialogue when Machiavelli tries to describe to Montesquieu what a wonderful world it will be if we have one ruler, and how we can even disguise it so that people will think that we are in their favor. And Machiavelli argues with him, and they argue there and back. But the voice, in chapter by chapter, one chapter, how we will do this and how we will do that and how we'll take over the lawyers and the police and the money and everything. This book by Dialogos en Fer, by Maurice Joly, he couldn't publish it in France because he would be immediately arrested. So he went to Brussels, to Belgium. Please.
Sorry. Go on.
He went to Brussels and published it there anonymously, no name of author. But when it crossed the border to Paris, the government immediately, they were not stupid, they immediately understood. They arrested him on the border, put him in prison, sent him for 1.5 years in prison, and a fine of, I don't remember how much money. And I have prison record of Maurice Joly where he's in prison, and I have his book, Maurice Joly's book. How do I have it? I will tell you. This book was used as a basis for the protocols. It appears now that about 65% of the protocols were directly and word by word copied from the book of Maurice Joly. And the rest, this was very good language, the French, but the rest, when they turned it into a Jewish problem, was a very bad French. But this is the protocols.